whether it is the art or the writing. That is the question. And we're going to discuss it here on another episode of All About Comics. Let's do it. All right.
Oh, gosh. That was absolutely beautiful, Corban. I got to say that downtown from Charlie Brown. Anyway.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of All About Comics. So we got a little panel here. It's not just myself, but Corban is in the building. I have two of my great friends, comic book fans in their own right. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. We'll start with my guy Adonnis and my guy Josh. Let's do it. Adonnis first, kind of share with the people who you are and how you're doing, and then we'll go to my man Josh.
Well, hi, I'm Adonnis. I like comics. I'm also a I work from the design standpoint. So art is not really a thing that I dabble in, but except for when I'm drawing and reading comics, because otherwise we wouldn't be here talking about this. We'd probably be talking about some kind of recipe we saw on Instagram and we're like, oh gosh, I want to try this. So yeah. All right, goodbye.
Love it.
Josh. I'm Josh. I grew up, I learned to read through comics. One of my earliest memories is sleeping with a really tattered Justice League issue. I just remember it had several Justice League members in space on the cover. I don't know what number it was. This was when I was 4, but I remember having this really tattered comic book that I would sleep with, and that's how I learned how to read. So I love comics, but I also fell out of comics in college because I got tired of all the this character died. But guess what? It wasn't actually that character. It was an alien doppelganger. And so his noble sacrifice that actually worked perfectly for that character was all bullshit. Because this writer wants to use this character too, instead of just creating another character that has similar attributes. So I was out on comments. Yes, I was out on comments for a decade, honestly, until Corban and I started talking about comics, because we originally met through basketball, and then I found out Corban was a big Batman fan, and I forgive him for that. But Nightwing forever. And
hey, don't talk down on Val Kilmer, okay?
Thank you.
No, I like Val. Shout out Val. But
R.I.P. Val.
Yeah, yes. But yeah, Corban kind of got me back into comics, and even got me into the local comic book shop, where I'm now a Patreon member. So even when I'm not buying comics, I'm still contributing something a month to a local comic book shop.
That's
all
cool.
Because of this guy.
That's
even
cool.
Though he likes Batman and the Lakers.
Hey, no, thank you for that. No.
Oh gosh.
Listen, that whole Batman Nightwing debate, that'll be a future one, even though I have to agree with Josh a little bit on the Team Nightwing there, just a little bit, but Batman through and through. But that's for another episode. Right now, I saw Donna's face turn up. I was about to say, before we
excuse me, say what?
Before we even touch that future show, the topic for today is, what does the heavier lifting in comic books specifically, the aspect of it? Is it the writing, or is it the art that stands out the most? And this is something that popped up on social media about a week and a half ago. Just I don't want to say some random account, but it really was a Twitter account that was like, hey, we all know that, the writing makes the story. And then you had a lot of people chime in. Todd McFarlane chimed in, Rybe Liefeld chimed in. I think Todd said something about my mom could write a book, but if it's not illustrated right, it won't matter. Whereas you can have a book that is written by, the greatest novelist ever, but illustrated by a cat, something like that. He gave an illustration. Rob Liefeld, of course, said some things. We're just gonna throw it out there and kind of have a little discussion here. Josh,
I'm
you
just
have
gonna
some
say
thoughts.
we live in the internet age. A comic book drawn by a cat would sell billions.
Look at all of the friggin' memes that exist with cats playing the piano, doing office work, doing construction, doing a ridiculous amount of regular everyday jobs, and they're
Mhm.
cats. So
There you go.
I
doing
mean,
the thing.
I'm sure you could be cat GPT that could get you here. I mean, hey,
At this rate,
hey.
anything's possible. But I want to get your thoughts on it because this was something I went back and forth on. I like the writing in books. I think that's what gravitates me to a comic. Even though like I'm holding a trade with the lovely Dan Mora art and Justice League Unlimited, and I love his artwork, and so he's a guy that makes amazing art.
He's definitely a chief.
Yes, he is. But like, here's the juxtaposition. He drew an amazing book. Mark Waid is the guy who wrote it, and Mark Waid has written amazing stuff. And so this is a book where both art and writing matches up perfectly, right?
And that, sir, is from my perspective, that's what it's about. If the cover makes you pick it up, then you look at the cover. Sir, are you okay over there?
Showing the visualization there.
As we come together. But yeah, you get that cover and you pick it up. It makes you pick it up. It makes you gravitate towards it and say, oh, what's going on here? Whether it's a universe that you're familiar with, another branch that's being built, or something entirely different. If it makes you pick it up, that's, to me, is always step one. Step two is then looking at the rest of the cover. You see the art, who's done the art, and then you're like, oh, this writer's attached. A lot of time when you have heavy hitter artists, you know the writing is gonna be good. I mean, look at what is it? The New 52 DC with the Greg Capullo Batman. That first arch, and then the second one that with the Court of Owls. I can tell you what, that was the first time in a very long time that I was really interested in Batman. I was really interested in Batman. I was like, ooh, all of this. The panel setup, though, that one issue where you see Batman in owl mode in that where he's like this and he has his hand in the claw and everything like that. That the way that they set up the panels, Craig decided to make it to where you had to turn the comic several ways, and it really involves you. The writing was awesome, but that look, you're just like, where the frig am I, yo? Like, what's going on? And that's why, like, yes, the writing has to be there, but depending on how heavy a hitter that writer is, determines how heavy a hitter the thought, the scenario, the actions are going to be illustrated, in my opinion. So
I like it. Josh, any initial thoughts?
It's me, man. So I think it's a very nuanced discussion. I don't do like yes or no's. Everything is context.
Yep.
So like Todd McFarlane once said, and I think you kind of quoted it, but like,
yeah, I was gonna riff him.
Like I could have the best writer on earth, but if my mom draws the comic, it's not going to sell. And so if you're a lot of it depends on what you define as success.
Yes.
So like if you're defining it as sales, it's art by far. Because like Adonnis said, art is what draws you in. Art is what gets you to buy the comic.
Yep.
Writing is obviously like what probably helps drive the like art, the overall art of the story. I know we're talking about like illustration as art as well, but like the art, the success of, oh, this is a piece of art. A lot of times I think falls on the plotting and the structure of the story. And obviously that's part of the writing, but additional aspects come into play too, because it is a visual storytelling.
Exactly.
thing. And like Adonis said, there are things you can do as a visual storyteller that the best writer on earth can't do in terms of telling. Like, you can condense a whole like novels worth of stuff into just a couple of pages of well structured flowing art.
Mm.
There's a reason that saying a picture's worth 1,000 words is so common, because it's true. um and I think, obviously, like we said, the synergy of good art and good writing is where you get the massive hits and the massive artistic successes. But also there's difficulty in that too, because you could have a fantastic artist, but if they're not the right fit for the story that the writer is telling, it's not going to be a good comic book.
It,
Mm.
it's something about it that like got me started in loving it in the first place. Mark Bagley
Yeah.
in the early 90s, his run
Yeah,
with
shout out to him.
Spider-Man. I was like, yo, I love this. I love the way it looks. It makes like how he always had that one pose where Spider-Man was like this, and he was like had that one leg that's bent like that, and he's kind of just and those big old eyes. Like I always loved that, and that's where a lot of my base of drawing Spider-Man in general comes from, because I grew up with that, with the whole the Scarlet Spider, all that stuff like that. Like I was like, yo, this is mad crazy. I love what you put Spider-Man in a hoodie, fam. Like he already in New York. like he out there. Ben Riley is like, nah, B, I got this junk. I gotta go over there, get that, get a chopped cheese. Then I gotta go save Susan. Then you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Ben Riley's got to swing by a couple of bodegas on the way home.
Exactly.
Yep.
Hey, yo, Papi, let me get that chopped cheese, huh? I got something to do, huh? To me, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Mark Bagley, I think, same with you, like the initial art, with Spider-Man, like you said, it pops. And I agree with both your points in that. I guess my pushback, if there was any, we're all kind of showing the nuance and agreeing. I think for me, it would be 60-40 writing to art, because I do think the art is important. But okay, here's my example. When people finish a comic book, they say, I read a comic book. They don't say I looked at a comic book. And I think for me, the reading of it and the writing of that is just important. For example, I'll bring up, and this is what I wanted to ask your opinion on, the Image guys. Batman Hush is the prime example to me of amazing artwork with the story that's a story. That is what I'd say. I throw out an Old Man Logan. But let's keep with the Image for now, because Jim Lee is one of the bigger ones. Like, as an artist, amazing. Todd McFarlane as an artist, amazing. Rob Liefeld as an artist, amazing. But when they've all written, it's really Liefeld. We can go iffy on that. Captain America.
If you don't mind
chest up.
If you don't mind feet, like.
But like,
if you like feet, Quentin Tarantino, for instance, not a fan.
Quentin Tarantino's here. No.
Wait, what?
He's really into feet. It's a thing.
Rob Liefeld? Yeah,
no. Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino is
really
absolutely
into feet.
Yeah,
and
yeah. Rob Liefeld does not draw
just
them.
Tries not to draw feet because he can't draw them very well.
Oh,
so if you go back and you look at a lot of Rob Liefeld artwork,
yes,
he'll cut off like the feet from like the layout of the panels and stuff.
It got a tremendous shout out.
Everybody's always got small feet.
Yeah, it made a tremendous shout out in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes.
On that storyboard, I love that.
Podiatrist,
yes, that was amazing.
The podiatrist.
But like,
oh my god,
yeah, but that's what I mean. Like I'm bringing those guys, and they were some, in this recent re-sparking debate, they all separately spoke out. Well, not Jim Lee, to what I know, but Rob Liefeld, McFarlane already referenced it, and in my mind, it was like, well, of course, because art is what y'all do. Y'all both have had stints in writing. whether it's Youngblood or
Yep.
X-Men or Amazing Spider, or not Amazing Spider-Man, just Spider-Man.
Yep.
And the writing that they did was not great. The writing literally only served as a vehicle to showcase the artwork, which was amazing. And that's but that's the thing. Like, we all know X-Men #1, still a top selling comic book, right?
I think it's still the highest
selling,
comic
right?
book
And
of all time.
it's been 30 years for sure, over 35 years. But
Oh,
yet all people talk about is the wraparound cover. Nobody talks about what's in the book because don't really remember. You know
I
what
mean, real talk. Yeah, I recently, at the beginning of this year, I finally decided to organize my comics and set them up in style, story arcs, as well as publishing companies and
Wow.
and characters, blah blah blah. And, and when I was looking at that on those 4 that I got, and I'm like, damn, every time. I cannot tell you the last time I looked inside, but looking outside, oh my goodness, I look at it all the damn time. But
Mhm.
looking inside and actually reading that, I can't tell you the last time I did that, fam.
That's what's I think that's I don't know. I think that speaks in some ways to this whole thing, because for me, yes, I'm not going, dang, that was a hell of a passage by Mark Waid. Like, ooh, but like I'm not
ooh, that
doing that.
line of dialogue hit
Was so good.
perfectly.
But like, I don't know. Okay, for example, Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. In fact, as we're recording, there's the 40th anniversary of the dropping of that book, right? I think the artwork was okay. I don't think it was amazing. I don't think it was horrible. I think Frank Miller's later work on Batman, starting with Batman: The Dark Knight Strikes Again, that's where his artwork just kind of like shit hit the fan in a major way, in my opinion. But for The Dark Knight Returns, it is the story there, but it's the artwork as well. Like, you have the end of that first issue with him facing Two-Face, and Two-Face has the surgery to make his whole face look perfect, but in his mind, his whole face is both sides are the scar. And you have the panel where Batman's looking at Two-Face, and Two-Face like, look at me like I am. And one panel shows him like he is, and one panel shows him like he sees himself. And then Batman, it shows Batman looking at him, and the next one just shows a bat. And he's like, I see what you see. It's a reflection. And like, if the art was just there, that would mean something. But the writing there shows perfectly. And you put that together and boom. Like, that's, I don't know. Like, the writing's what I remember because I remember the lines, but the art, it conjures up the artwork.
And that's what I think is very important. You have good writing, you have good art, and now you are holding a film, you're holding a series, a show, and you can see it moving fluently, and you're just like, damn, this is really good. It captivates you. And in order for that to be showcased properly, in order for that story to be reached from a visual standpoint, the artist has to be on that level to be able to properly translate what was written, the story, the mindset, the entire scenarios that we're introduced to, in a sense to where our imagination it surpasses what we thought we were going to see. Because when you it's low key like when you're reading those books and then they make the film version and you're like, oh, that's not what I thought it was going to look like, but okay. When you have the stories and you're like, damn, this is crazy, and what you see, you're like, damn, this is mad crazy. All the like the panel setup, the where the dialogue is laid out, where the shadowing, the lighting, the positions. Like, yo, you're sitting up there looking at a still image and you can see movement, you can feel it. That's what I say. Like, that's why I'm like, okay, yes, the writing is, of course, it's important. I mean, it can look great, like we said, but I want to be there. I want to be in the story. But when those two combine, holy crap. Let our powers combine.
I just have to say, because every time I think of Captain Planet at all, it always bothers me that like his villains use like pollution and
Exactly.
oil and stuff. And like the second Captain Planet gets sprayed with a little bit of oil, he's like, "Oh god, the powers go back to you." Like, dude, this is your job, man.
He straight up is like,
Like,
"Ooh, I'm
this
dirty."
is why
Nah,
you were
that's y'all.
created.
The minute it gets on, he's like, "Get that shit off me." Get the other shit
Ew, that's nasty. That's y'all job.
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh.
So
But I think
yeah, I want to get
both
your
of you
thoughts.
bring up really interesting points. And Corbin, your point actually kind of weighs heavier for art for me than
Really?
the writing for you, because I mentioned comics helped me learn how to read, and a large
Mhm.
part of that is because you can pick up almost most of the story through the visuals, assuming you have a good artist.
Mm-hmm.
And that carries a lot of weight, I think.
Oh yeah.
And I do think there is definitely a higher tier of artists too, who not
Mhm.
only, you know, make really cool looking illustrations and stuff, but they set up the layout of the panels to invoke kineticism, like Adonis is talking about. Like, you feel like there's movement,
Yep.
even though you know it's a still image.
Mhm.
The way the art flows guides your eye to certain pieces of information and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that only artists can bring. So I'll put it in these terms, Corbin.
Mhm.
I think writing is the Russell Westbrook floor raiser. You
Mm.
need a quality enough writing to make the comic not shit. But the art is the Steph Curry ceiling raiser, where
Oh.
like if you got really good artist, it goes to the fucking stratosphere, even if the story's kind of eh.
Okay.
I don't think you
Hmm.
can do the opposite, where like the art's not that good, particularly from a visual storytelling perspective, but the writing is fantastic, or the plot or the premise, that sort of stuff is fantastic. Again, that'll get you up to like a good comic, but it's not going to get you to a great comic.
I see what you're saying. Interesting. I kind of leaned. I guess y'all are kind of convincing me that, because in my head I'm like, yeah, there's quite a few stories where I think of the writing. I mean, you think of any top comic book storyline, comic book arc, all of that, you remember it because of the story. Like, yes, the art is just as big on the even plane, but it is always the story, right? You do have those other ones that are notable, All-Star Batman and Robin, right? Which the story was god awful, but Jim Lee killed it on the art. You
I
know, Jim
mean,
Lee did amazing art. Hush is a
oh
top
yeah.
comic in Batman stuff all over. The story sucked. There's no, I mean, it just did. but like, I will even go back, and I have like on my tablet, like the Batman Hush Noir, just to look at the inks and look at the prints. As someone who doesn't draw, I can appreciate, like, wow, like you said with the kineticism, Josh, like his ability, Lee's, that is, to showcase the Gotham City pops out at you, even with all the colors drained off of black and white, right? But it's like a picture book for me though, because I don't feel it, because I'm reading the story and I'm like, I will go back and read Jeff Loeb's work, and I'm like, oh, yikes. Like, that's how I feel. I don't know. We're like, I don't know. Like you said,
Jeff
though, there
Loeb
are
catching strays.
I know, I'm sorry. But like, there's, you know,
He'll see
Old
you
Man
at
Logan.
the con, Corbin.
Let me be quiet. I know, you know, Long
No,
Halloween,
you're good.
there's other good stuff there, but I just feel like
Yeah.
there are some, you know, Grant Morrison's X-Men. I thought Grant Morrison did an amazing job.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I thought
Although
the
I think
art was
Frank Quitely is
I'm not a
awesome.
Frank Quietly friend. Yeah.
See,
It
I
was
love
fugly to
Frank
me.
Quitely. Yeah.
I think he's one of the best in the business. I don't think he did a great job there though.
Well,
But
that
like, again,
that was
that
also
shows. Mhm.
one of those situations where they went through a whole bunch of different artists
They
during
did.
that Grant
Yep.
Morrison run, due to like scheduling stuff or timing stuff. I don't know, but yeah, like honestly, like the best Grant Morrison Frank Quitely combination, I think, was We Three. which I don't know if you guys remember that. It was like scientifically
I just saw a bunch of
modified
those at the black and red
animals.
store I was at today.
Yeah, that's a really good one. If you get a chance to read it, Adonis, check it out.
Shoot. Okay. I was when you were talking about kind of a step back and to the side, the noir version. I oh my god, the noir version. That made me think about manga and the continuous like approaches to stories and the shonen entries and everything like that, depending on how people feel about it, will determine whether or not this person will get the opportunity to continue telling their story. And it's so cool how you see like some manga that turn into series, and it's like, dang, this is really cool. I mean, my My Hero Academia. Now you got I friggin' forgot what it's called, but it's like where it's all about junk. The girl who did that, that was her first manga that she entered, and then she got it heated in the shonen magazine, and then she got a series. And it's like, dang, it's crazy what how much work is put into these people that are drawing and writing, and it's all black and white. It's it's so much, but then they also are the ones who come up with the covers of the books, and it's like, damn, like for me, I love to read an amazing story, but I also love to look at amazing artwork, man. Like, man, it's it really is captivating because then I guess from an artist perspective as well, it gives me an idea. Like, okay, I see how they portrayed this scene, this scenario. I can probably do that for this one that I'm thinking of. How I can translate that and showcase it in a best case scenario to where people are like really captivated by this one thing. I mean, it's low key the same thing that happened in the early days of Disney. The early days of Disney. How many of those friggin' panels do the same friggin' thing, but it's different characters? How Baloo was doing the same dance as friggin' I forgot who it was. They wasn't it from the 101 Dalmatians? It was the same kind of
yeah.
and then Robin Hood and Baloo, they were doing the same. It's like, oh, that's right. You can use the same format but tell a different story. And it's like, damn, why? Because this does a great job of showcasing what you need to see. And and we got to understand that, like, we really want good stories. But to me, what puts the finishing touch, the cherry on top, as they say, to a good story is that good visual. Like you were talking about, Josh. It has to be up there. Steph Curry. You know what I'm saying? You make it 3-point.
He is better than Russ.
Like 6-point shots and shit like that from the other side of that damn court, and then you turn it around looking at people with your mouthpiece hanging out your face and just be like, exactly.
There are levels indeed to this. Yes. No, I know
Yes.
what you mean there. No. Okay. No, you know what? I think this has been interesting in terms of kind of delving in. I may have been swayed a little bit. I may have been swayed.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, I will let you, Josh, please.
I will say one thing though, that like I agree with Adonis that art is what draws you in if you aren't already familiar with this like story that's being presented. Like it's one thing if like I know of this story and I'm going to my comic shop specifically to pick it up, then that's probably because of the writing or the premise. Like for me, I'm a big premise guy. And that goes for like movies and TV shows too. Like
Exactly.
premise is what draws me in because I'm like, I like that idea, or it's one of those ideas that actually pisses me off because it's so obvious that I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of that? Like vampires take over Barrow, Alaska, when the sun's gone for 30 days.
Seriously, That what was that? Is that a bowl of cereal?
This argument.
Boss battle.
This
Cereal
was
box?
showing to Josh's point. I didn't realize before he was telling the story, he was telling about like the example of just a vehicle for art. Like the story is non-existent. We're gonna get these random characters fighting, and we're just here to see the art. We're here to see Joker versus Annabelle. And Lex, Superman
we?
versus Homelander. I mean, that's why I
Are we
picked up
here
this
for
book for.
Joker versus Annabelle specifically?
I'm not gonna
I'm
lie.
sure some people are, but like,
I wanted to see. I mean, Superman
Homelander,
versus Homelander was played out. I didn't expect to see Mortal Kombat in this. It was really cool to see Plastic Man and Black Lightning versus Scorpion and Sub-Zero. That was interesting. But again, I'm getting away from your point, Josh. I was bringing this book up to say I didn't pick up this book going, oh, I can't wait for the compelling writing. I picked it up to see the artwork of these guys and gals facing off.
I guess it's that same drawing when it comes to action films. You know, the story is going to be, it's going to do what it does, and it has opportunity. But you're watching Arnold Schwarzenegger rip off his shirt and shoot a machine gun that's bigger than me, and you're just like, yeah, that's why I'm here.
Let's be honest. We're not here to learn about end of days. We're just here to watch Arnold wreck shit.
Exactly. Get to the chopper.
He wrecks it well.
No, go
Get to the chopper.
I did want to ask you one last question before we kind of sign off here for this show. What do y'all think about
already?
No.
Get out of here.
Open forum to air out and continue to talk. 38 minutes and not a minute over. No, I'm kidding. I just wanted to ask, because y'all both have been following comics for a number of years. What do y'all think about the trend? Because there used to be a time, I remember when I was coming of age, quote unquote, in comics, where it was the art that was being sold. It was Jim Lee, it was Todd McFarlane, it was David Finch. We already mentioned Frank Wiley, these great artists. And now I feel like it has gone to Joshua Williamson, Scott Snyder, as it should. They've had a good run, but both of those guys, Chip Zdarsky, it's more on the writing side. And what I mean is how they sell the comics. In the 90s up until about, I'd say maybe 5-10 years
when
ago,
the boom bust.
Yes, it was all on the art. But now the selling is, we have this great creative team led by this person writing and this person on art. I look at Batman, for example. Jorge Jimenez has done an amazing job over the last 5 years, not only drawing Batman, but making Batman feel different for each writer he's been under. He's been under James Tynion, Chip Zdarsky, and now Matt Fraction. But each time that the book was sold, and first off, Batman sells stuff, yes, true. But even with that, it was Batman, written by James Tynion, Batman, Chip Zdarsky, Batman, and then, by the way, Jorge Jimenez is on the book too, even though he is an amazing writer in his own right, or amazing artist in his own right. So I guess my question is, where did y'all notice the shift, and what do y'all think about that for, the big two and others to go kind of, it seems, prioritizing the writers in terms of what they publicize and how they advertise their books?
So I think a large part of this is the shift in the audience. So back in like the late 80s, early 90s, when you started having that big boom where like comics were the hit thing, that like all of a sudden, for lack of a better term, casuals came into the marketplace and they were buying up a bunch of different copies of things because they thought it was an investment. In that case, as we've discussed so far, art is the thing that draws you into, like, initially, if you don't know anything about the story or about the series, you're going to see that art. And if you think it's good art, you're going to be like, oh, that's probably going to sell well. And then that's going to be a good investment. It wasn't, it burst. You didn't need 7 foil covers and different like things. So I think like once that bubble burst, the comic industry actually lost a lot of patronage.
Yeah.
Not necessarily from comic book fans, but from all the like more casual people. And I think it's starting to get back now that we have like the comic book movie boom. I think that's
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
people back into comics. But I think there was that shift from a kind of stronger emphasis on art because of the more casual fans and viewing it as an investment to story for the more hardcore comic book fans who are obviously aware of great artists and stuff. But like I think if you're a hardcore comic book fan who's like been in the trenches, has their big white box full of like bagged comics and stuff like that,
Oh yeah.
you also you might still highly prioritize art, but you're going to gravitate towards story arcs that go with great art. And so I think that's where that shift has happened from artists being kind of the marketable stars
Yeah.
to writers becoming the marketable stars.
I agree with that because I'm I primarily gravitate towards that because of, like you said, the comic boom. How much media crossovers have there
Mhm.
been? Series, movies, podcast. Like there's so much that's happening outside of that comic shop that it's like, damn, like okay, we got to make sure we have really good writers that can translate this in a book format and on screen.
Yep.
So if it's not getting that popular, then that one's just going to stay in its lane. That's it.
10 issues gone.
Exactly. I mean, especially with Image, there are so many good
Yes.
there are so many good hitters, but then there are only like 10, 15 issues. Man, Haunt was
Mm.
was so fun and so like, wow, this is crazy. Then they switched the writing and the artist. I wasn't mad about the artist switch. Of course, Greg Capullo. I mean, come on. But it was the writing. It felt like it had nothing to do with the whole point of the friggin' story existing. And then it like I think it lasted like what 3 issues. I have all of it, and then it dropped. And I'm
Mhm.
like, damn. But then you got like when was this during the new 52, but Animal Man. That whole thing, the art kind of drew me in, but the story honestly really kept me because I was like, this is wild. It's coming from a very different perspective where he was portrayed in a different way in other scenarios. And now it's like it's taking it more seriously. And it's like, yo, this actually is really very interesting. You know what I mean? Like it's art is very important, always to me. But again, you know that well, not know, but we really have seen that really good art is paired with really good story. And that story, I mean, that's the whole point. Like it was taking those awesome books from the 1800s and early 1900s and turning this story into something that the kids can see. I mean, it's like, oh, now I understand what they're talking about. Now I get it. Creating more inspiration and more paths for imagination. So, oh,
Yeah, that was eloquently said. Thank you.
Aw.
Yeah, of
Stop.
course. Any as we kind of close the proverbial book on this.
Oh my gosh.
Any final thoughts that I want to share just relative to this? Because I think we have kind of explored a little bit. I think it is interesting to watch and continue to watch how that's done. And I don't know. I hope we see more. For the sake of it, I do hope we see more like superstar artists. I don't think in my mind that the artist should get more credit. Maybe like you said, at the very least it's 50-50, right? There could be a 60-40 swing as we've kind of shown either way, and I think that's perfectly fair as well. But I do wish we did give more, like I said, Dan Mora, Jorge Jimenez. There's so
Yeah.
many others who come out and just do like really good art that yes, the writing is great, but like the artwork is consistent time and again. You look at the panel work. I look at a guy. I think I give a lot of love to those who do both, because that's another thing that's even crazier. But if you look at the Batman, the White Knight, Batman Beyond the White Knight,
Oh yeah,
those
Murphy.
that yes, Sean Murphy, man, like
yo,
the
he
ability
is a
to
heavy
write,
hitter.
yes,
Yeah.
to write a compelling story and bring it to life in that way. And Adonis knows I'm a Batman Beyond guy. Josh, same thing. Like that
Yes,
Neo tech
Batman Beyond.
vibe.
Yes, yes.
Yes, but like
Mhm.
the Batman Beyond is so cool because it's so fresh. Like it's
Yes.
just it's a whole nother artistic style. You have a Japanese influence in there.
Yep.
You have, this scary new kind of world. You have this punk
Mhm.
rock type of vibe.
Oh yeah.
But if you look at the comics for Batman Beyond, it's not always been hit like that, right? And Sean Murphy folded that, his
Yep.
unique Batman world, into this and made it work, and somehow brought in a Red Hood and a old Batman and a holographic joke. It was crazy,
Man.
but it worked. It felt like a Batman Beyond book. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Like getting back to something I mentioned earlier too is
Mhm.
like, I think it also depends on the fit between the type of artist and the type of story.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, 30 Days a Night is one of my favorite premises ever. Like it pisses me off. It's so good, that premise. And like you wouldn't put Dan Mora on that. Like we all agree Dan Mora is a fantastic artist.
Oh yeah. Oh
He
yeah.
would not be the right person for 30 Days of Night. Ben Temple-Smith, whether you generally like that art style or not, like Ben
I do.
Temple-Smith probably, I do too, especially in that context, but like Ben Temple-Smith probably isn't gonna be like a Superman artist.
No.
You know what I mean? But but he fits so well with that story that it's the perfect art for that story.
That is honestly, that's how I feel. Jeez. What is his name? I'm forgetting his name. He's done a lot of stuff with Superman, Batman, and mainly Spider-Man. He's a junior. He was also with
Romita?
yes,
Romita.
John
John
Romita
Romita.
Jr. Like
Yep.
I like his style when it's kick-ass. I love it when it's in there.
Yeah.
When it's in Spider-Man, for some reason, it's the angles. It's the angles. Again, I grew up with Mark Bagley, so I need those
More
round
curved,
curved
more round ones.
exactly.
Yep.
And the muscle structure. With him, he with the wrinkles that
Bagley
he
was more
puts,
like lanky, more like it
yeah.
wasn't just that's something I've been going through more recently with comic books, particularly art, is I'm trying to move away somewhat from the generic superhero art because like everybody's got 2% body fat and is like an Olympic athlete. And like I know we're talking about like superpowers and stuff like that, but it sucks me out of the story too, that like Cyclops is not just, a mutant with, punch dimension powers coming out of his eyes, but he's also like fucking Rambo from Rambo 2, like
I mean,
shredded and like come on, people. Like
friggin'
that's partly why I like Frank Quitely so much on New X-Men with Grant Morrison, is they really played up the slim. Like his nickname is Slim, and he actually looks slim.
Yeah.
Like yeah, and so like I've gotten more into the late great John Cassidy. He also like similar kind of thing also with like Bruce Timm, Mike Allred, a lot of like the pop artists too.
Yeah.
They do a good job of like, I can tell that they're muscular, but it's not like,
that's not all we're seeing.
It's not Chris Hemsworth. You know what I mean? Like it looks like Hugh Jackman in the first X-Men movie.
Yeah.
Like he's in shape, he's just not winning a bodybuilding competition.
Yeah.
Like I want a degree of realism, even if it's like a more like cartoonish type style. I still appreciate a degree of like, this feels like an actual person. And
I
yeah,
I totally understand that because gosh, I forgot his something with an H. Toriyama, the dude that
Mm.
did Akira.
yeah,
How like there are like the layout of that entire thing, the way uh I forgot the main character's name. Jeez. When he stands there, when he's going through the stuff, he doesn't have muscle, but you're like so involved with what he's doing, and it's the clothes, the wrinkles, how they sit on there, him wearing those friggin' pants,
Mhm.
the complexity of his motorcycle in a simplistic way. Like it shows you there's so much going on, but at this angle, it's just so smooth.
Mhm.
It's just so you receive it. And again, with Ramita Jr., like what he does with the curves, the wrinkles that are on the arm, the shoulder to bicep placement of Spider-Man when he's sitting up there on that one pole and just chilling, like what he's thinking, the depth of what's going on, the lighting, the shadow. I love that stuff when it's paired with whoever when the artist and the writer are paired properly, you just get so consumed by the story that's being presented. Sometimes one gets more distracting than the other. Again, I love John Romita Jr. However, when it comes to his portrayal, I should say, of Spider-Man, it gets too distracting for me. But in Kick-Ass,
Perfect.
I was all through it because I was
Mhm.
like,
Yep.
this space is its space. And I
Yep.
guess that's one of the reasons why I like to jump to the artwork that's attached to various manga and anime and things of that nature, because that's all it is. There are some that continue and go further and blah, blah, blah. But once that's done, it's done. Like My Hero Academia, done. Dragon Ball Z is still going. Same with One Piece, but like there are
Yeah.
some that are just Naruto shut down. It's done. Like they went and did a side story with his son and everything like that. But like that's because the fans were like, no, we want more. We want more. But once they were cut off, they were like, yeah, nah, we done, fam.
I respect when storytellers tell their story
Mhm.
and they're like, "This is the story we wanted to tell."
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you mean you want me to tack on like another season where like, oh, there's a new wacky neighbor? No, fuck that. This is the story we wanted to tell. We told it, and we told it damn well.
And we're
Mhm.
done.
And now we're moving on to tell a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with that completely. I think there's a gift in knowing when the run is done.
Yep.
You talk about having this perfect team between art and writing, yes. And then when you do reach that end, okay, like great. And I think just as good as there is to have that, I think there is when okay, you have a plan to go longer. For example, like I don't know if any of y'all are reading Exquisite Corpse, James Tinian and Michael Walsh. Making sure I'm gonna make sure I have that right. But basically, think it is Michael Walsh. Great. Think like The Purge.
Okay.
These ruling families, that rule like the way power works in America, meet up every year, every 5 years. I think they take over this small town, and they each have a killer that they've sponsored, and whichever killer is left standing, that family remains in power for the next couple of years. And it was an interesting book. In fact, it's been made into a game and just got optioned into a movie, so we'll be hearing about it soon, I'm sure.
Wait a
But
minute. What's it called again?
it's called Exquisite Corpse. It's an image book, and
Yeah. I was
it's
just
so good. And the first one came out was like a 60-page like number one. And what I like about it is like kind of piggybacking off of Josh's earlier point about art. I usually just read superhero books, and so this is a different book for me. And so seeing the artwork described, and they would show, James Tinian as the writer would build the characterization of, you have the killers, and each of them have their own characterization. One's this kid who loves to play with drones, and that's how he gets his kills. The other is like this this black guy who looks good and tries to get people in, hang out with me. I'm Pretty Boy, that's his name. And then as you're like chilling with him, he kills you, like that sort of thing. Each killer, and it's almost like a video game because it
That's
shows
super
the killer
cool.
do their thing, and then the page is like a spread of the killer like doing their thing. It's wild. It's really good. But like Josh said, like the art is cool because for me, I can't look at it like a superhero book because even these killers are just normal people. They're psychopaths, but they're normal people.
Yeah.
So the art and definition, you know, you have a guy that looks imposing because all of a sudden, you know, he's shopping for a car with these random people in this story who are unaware that this is happening because the powers that be don't. It's more fun to let it happen and not
Of
let
course.
them know. So they're selling a car to someone who's like, thank you, I want this car, but I'm thinking about killing you. And they're just like,
Yeah.
acting kind of weird, but I guess we'll close the sale. It's so interesting. And you have this dynamic ability between the writing, which is amazing, but the art, which is different from me, but also good. I think going back to what y'all said, Adonnis, you had some.
Yes, that instantly made me think of Stray Dogs, the Image one, and it's like we're watching a rated R Disney cartoon movie.
Yes. Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Like I didn't expect to like that, and I saw it. I remember when it dropped, and then I started talking to the comic shop owners and you know, fellow readers, and they're like, "Dude, if you want something crazy, this thing looks like a Disney cartoon, but there's friggin' blood everywhere." And I'm like,
Beneath the trees where nobody sees.
yo,
That's what got me. Richard Scarry meets Dexter.
oh yeah.
Like it's this wonderful book with these beautiful animals and
Yep.
the topography, all of it's amazing. But one of them, this lovely bear named Samantha, is a psychopathic serial killer. And
I know what you're talking about.
it's crazy. And the book
Yeah,
was
man.
unsettling for me because it reminded me of a kid's book right up before she's draining them of their blood, hanging
That's the
over a
point.
tree. And it's like, wait, what?
That's the point.
That's the relationship that
Yep.
we put the pressure on. It's like, okay, the art has to be good, but at the yes, the art has to be good. When we're dealing with our big three and everything like that, for me, it's big three, ain't no big two, because Image is up there
Definitely
with them.
Yes. Yeah.
But like
fair.
when you're dealing, if you got something so it just draws you in. It's like, I wonder what this is about. And then you go in and you're like, this story is awesome. I would not expect this to work so well with this art. I did not expect this. That's another really captivating aspect of comics. This is why we love them, because it's like you never know. You never know. You can sit up there and get a freaking, like we're talking about, something so kids booky, Winnie the Pooh / Disney books. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden there's freaking gore and blood and serial killer stuff happening. And you're getting it from the perspective of a freaking dog.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. Wild. It's like you said, the magic of the comics, the way it's able to grip us, and why we keep coming back and having these conversations.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I'm looking forward to more of it 100% with y'all. The first of many, y'all. But before we close it, please, Josh, Adonnis, where can folks who have watched this or listened to this find y'all? Y'all, you know, just in general, any thoughts, ideas? You know, are you off the grid? Is that by design?
I'm private. I don't like anybody in my space.
There you go.
I like a nice 3-foot bubble.
There you go.
Please, sir, stand back. Back, sir.
That's enough.
Yes.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Other than that,
I don't
here.
really,
We'll keep
you
it
know
here.
me, I don't really try to push any of my stuff.
I know.
But I will say two things. Much like I always close our basketball podcast with, like, support good comics.
Yeah.
Like, if you see a good comic, support it, because that's how we get more good comics and not
Exactly.
just, you know, 7 different Batman series and 14 different X-Men series and stuff
Does
like
someone
that.
want
Like,
more Doomsday?
yeah,
More
like
Doom?
some like support good comics. And if it's financially tough for you right now, there are
Hey.
wonderful resources like Hoopla Digital. All you need is a library card, and there's a lot of comic books and graphic novels available on there.
Shoot,
Your
that's a good
local
hit.
library,
Yep.
like
Free comic book day for sure.
it's yes, free comic book day. It's an
There are
art form
resources.
that I think is like highly underrated.
Yeah.
Because I mean, animation is expensive as hell. Live action can't do a lot of the things that you can do with illustrations.
Yep.
And I mean, like, if you think back to like The Authority with Brian Hitch and Mark Miller, like that first first several issues of that is just like high level blockbuster movie type action that you could never actually film because it would cost way too much.
Yep.
And so like outside of video games, I sometimes think comic books are the most overall impactful medium for
Yes.
storytelling, because you have the written, you have the visual, and in some cases, like Adonis was saying with that Court of Owls issue where you had to like rotate the page to read it. Absolute Martian Manhunter, which I was telling Corban and Adonis
yeah.
about. There are it doesn't quite work on Hoopla because you need the physical copy, but there are pages where you're supposed to hold it up to the light and you see a different image coming through, and like it can be very interactive. And it's just a really good art form, especially for improving literacy and improving reading comprehension and stuff, because you have the addition of those images to help provide you context on what words you're seeing and what's going on in the story and stuff. So support good comics.
Exactly. People learning to understand what good is, why
Yes.
it's good. Like what else would they look for that gives them that feeling? This is important. It's important for the people that are telling the stories and the people that are being introduced to stories. It's support good comics, man. Like for real. Like we ain't going nowhere for a long time, so might as well make good, better stuff come out.
Yep.
100%. Listen, I'm not going to say anything different than what these two fine gentlemen already said. I'm just going to repeat it. Read good comics, read comics, talk about them. Follow this. Hopefully you'll see more of these two guys here with me. Make sure to follow All About Comics. We're here. We're starting some stuff differently. Should be a lot of fun. And we're just chatting about it as we did for almost an hour here. So if you stayed for the ride, whether you watched or listened, we appreciate y'all. But for Josh, for Adonnis,
Team Nightwing.
for myself, we're all
Oh my
frosty.
God.
Y'all stay frosty. And like the guy said, keep reading them comics. All right, y'all.